Hey guys, welcome back. Today, we are going to do something a little bit different. This isn't really much of a review. It's more of a confession/rant. See, when this thing came out over a year ago, I was interested in it because obviously I'm interested in everything that comes out. I suffer from gas, like most of you guys, but at the same time, I never really had the desire to actually get it. If I have to be honest, all the reviews I've seen online and all the YouTube videos and all these YouTubers doing these videos actually made it worse for me. It got me even more skeptical. Now, logically, you're going to be asking yourself, why are you doing this video? Well, I'm doing this video simply because part of me always thinks that I should try things myself, and so I decided to buy it. Now, please note, this is in no way a sponsored post by IK Multimedia. These are just thoughts that are coming out after a week or so of using it. A funny thing that happened is the Tonex actually got me thinking about what's really important to us as the average player. And again, I don't mean this in a disparaging way. I mean it in the way that we are all, including myself, average players. We are not rocking out stadiums. We do not have a house or a studio full of 2 rock amps, full of 1960s Vox, Fenders, amps that cost more than our cars. It's not only a money thing, we are all in environments where maybe we're not allowed or we can't play at the volumes that those amps require. And if we're talking about the reality of life, how many of us actually know how to properly mic an amp? How many of us have the racks of mic pre's for the signals to go through? How many of us have different rooms with isolation cabs and all that crap? I suspect probably not many, and I know that I certainly don't. And I think that that's where the Tonex and the devices like that become really interesting. I'm not going to run through the specs of this because there's a million YouTube videos out there with all these things, but we can all see that the Tonex is a sturdy little unit, probably the size of 2 normal Boss pedals. And if you wanted, you could even get the Tonex One, which is even smaller, tiny. It comes with tons of features, USB out, everything you could ever want. Yes, the software is maybe not the best in the world, but it has so many options there. But nevertheless, I don't think that's where the real magic is. I think it's something else, and I think that's what I want to talk about today. Think about it. For a not very expensive price, say you are going out 2 or 3 times a week, you can capture the sounds of amplifiers, cabinets, even pedals that would generally be completely out of reach to you. I mean, honestly, are we kidding ourselves here? We're talking about like legendary amps, rare vintage pieces that often are captured in really, really high-tech and good studios by professionals. I just think it's really important to keep that perspective when you're playing this thing, and also when you're watching all those YouTube videos reviewing it. Now, I haven't had the pleasure to play a real brown face 1965 Fender or a 1960s Vox, but sounds pretty convincing, doesn't it? It's not just about the sound, it's also about the feel, the way it responds to your playing. Now, some people will obviously say, oh, it's not the same as the real thing. And you know what? You're right. I'm 100% sure you're right. But is it close enough? For most situations, for most players, 99% of us, it actually is. I don't think you can get over the convenience factor. You can get a huge range of tones in a tiny pedal board without breaking your back or your bank account. What I think is really important to remember is that this isn't about replacing your real tube amps or your 2-rock amps or your vintage Marshall. It's about having the option to do it. It's about making great tone available to everyone, regardless of their budget or their gear. Most importantly, it's about democratizing tone. It is also undeniable that there are a lot of downsides to it. The software isn't great. It does take a long time to get your head around it. It's not the most intuitive way of working. Personal experience, but I know many of you also had the same. I know it would have been so good to have a proper effects loop in here. Maybe that's not the evil plan by IK Multimedia. But regardless of that, I do think that there's unbelievably great tones to be had in here, and possibly some of the best I've played, again, a sub $300 price range. I know very, very well that the weak link in all my rigs, so not only when I'm using the Tonex, is me. And it's not the pedal, it's not the guitar, it's not all that stuff. But that's also kind of the magic. It's part of the journey that you're doing when you're playing with something like the Tonex. I certainly don't have a studio full of Dumbles, of Plexis, etc., as we discussed, but that's the entire beauty of it. For 20, 30 bucks, you can download a capture of those amps made by someone else that normally would cost you thousands. The vast majority of Tonex users, I am ready to bet that we're not going to be capturing amps. And that's why the Tonex, for me, is so appealing compared to maybe the Quad Cortex or maybe the Kemper was originally. Don't worry about the similarities with that, a tube amp and all that. No one will ever know and no one will ever care. So really, despite whatever problems, shortcomings, things you are supposed to know about it and all that stuff, this is really the golden age for music gear. So that's it. What do you guys think about the Tonex? Without using that horrible word, but do you think it's a game changer for us, the average player? And if you haven't tried it yet, give this thing a try. Try and create your own system of working with it. And I suspect you'll become immensely satisfied with something far more utilitarian than a real amp. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please enjoy yourself, play guitar, love each other, enjoy the world. It's a beautiful life out there. See you next time.